Politics Reimagined, brought to you by Charlisa Shelton and Zach Ritter.
Hey, what's up? I'm Zach Ritter.
And I am Charlisa Shelton. And today we are discussing the Capitol riots. Zach?
Yes. So, how did we get here? I was teaching my students about this, and 1676 came to mind with Bacon's Rebellion.
Okay.
Right? We have this like pyramid. It's like a hierarchy, and Bacon was this rich white dude who was taking over other rich white dudes' land, but he was using like a unified like white and black army. And other landowners tripped out because they were like, we don't want this, and we can't have this like pan-racial like, you know, army. And
So
what,
black and white people got together.
right.
In rebellion, okay?
Correct. And so then the white elite landowners in Virginia, this was Bacon was owning land in Virginia. They said, okay, we're not going to have import black folks from the Caribbean because English. Okay, and so then the whites and the black folks can speak English, and then they can band together. So we're going to cut that out. We're only going to import black folks from West Africa because they speak all different types of languages.
Right.
And then they said no more black indentured servitude, because then the whites and the blacks are on the same level of indentured servitude, right? So
we all know we don't want that, right?
We can't have that.
Can't have that.
Scary stuff. So they said only black slavery and white indentured servitude.
Right.
So the lesson from 1676 is not only the power of solidarity and what folks in America and around the world can do if they come together, but also rich folks learned that we need to control folks on the lower part of the working class. And so they said, hey, white folks, you're kind of like us because we have the same skin color.
We're the same skin color.
Right?
We are skin folks.
Right. But they weren't, they were skin folk, but not kin folk.
There it is.
They were saying like, okay, like the wages of whiteness thing, right? Like Du Bois is talking about, like, we're both white, so here, let's do this thing. But you are poor, yes, but at least you're not black.
Exactly. You're poor, but at least you're not poor and black. Right. And so if you create that hierarchy, right? It's like you're a slave over here, you're black, you're a slave over here, you're an indentured slave.
Yeah.
You see the end of the tunnel, right? So I don't have to do this for the rest of my life. They're not separating me and my family. They have nothing to do with that. I am here. I'm doing the work. 7, 10 years, however many years that I'm going to be an indentured slave. Boom. Once that's out the door, I am a free man. Yes, I am poor, but I am free and I'm white.
Right.
And that is capital.
Right. No, exactly. And it's like, well, and we're going to put you one notch above these black folks because we're going to pay you a little bit to watch over my quote unquote property, right? Watch over these black folks.
Yep.
So then you start building a very cohesive, rigid, and racist caste system in America.
Yes.
So fast forward to today, you have Donald Trump, who knows how wealthy he actually is, but supposedly a wealthy white man who's a TV star. This is like the worst season finale of The Apprentice, right? This is and
hands down.
I don't know. I want to talk to the writers. I'm
seriously. Yeah. Seriously.
And he is controlling these folks in a kind of a pyramid, and one would think that he's controlling poor white people, but as you and I have talked about before, it's a lot of the folks that were at the Capitol riots were middle class white people.
Exactly. And so that goes there. Here goes that whole, you know, they're afraid of, you know, they're concerned about their pocketbooks, right?
Right.
This is how they vote. They vote based on, which makes no sense. First of all, let's just talk about this, right?
Right.
Because if you're poor, you have no business, you know, voting for people who don't necessarily, you know, want to help you get to, you know, help you do anything, right?
Right.
And the focus in, not even help you. Let me go back on that. Who whose main focus is keeping wealth at the top,
Right.
right? So when they came out, like, think about the tax breaks, right?
Mm-hmm.
They were very open to those tax breaks, right? Even though it cost the whole country, right? They were okay with those tax, like, sure, how much money you have? Absolutely. We're gonna give you some more, you know, like, keep that money over there. But then it was like, okay, so these people over here, you know, no fault. Like, it's not like people were just like in mass quitting jobs, right? Like, companies were closing. We have the whole COVID thing, right? So we're dealing with all of these issues where it is preventing people from actually going to work and doing the things that they need to do to take care of their families, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you would think, okay, these people need help, right? These are
Right.
the majority of the people are are their constituents, especially in Senate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Most of the Southern senators are Republicans,
Right.
right? And so, but poverty, but poverty is super high in all of these states, right? In all the states in the South, right? Where's most of the money coming from in this country? Right? California,
Mm-hmm.
New York. That is not the South. Okay. All right.
Right.
So you would think, okay, we were able to give these breaks to, you know, the super rich, right? Now we have all these people who, by the way, have continued to make money in this pandemic, right? So we
Mm-hmm.
think that they would be more open to giving money to people who need it. Absolutely not. $600. Why did you need $600? I mean, like, seriously, what do they need $600 for? And it's like, really? This is the response for $600 for regular Americans? And it's like, okay, so you're voting for people who won't give you $600
Right.
and you're on the verge of eating cat food. I mean, I need you to think about this. Like, let's think about this. So,
No, it's true, and you have this thing from Reagan times that government is the enemy.
right.
Government is bad. Was it Rehnquist that said Norquist, who said you should shrink government down to the size of a baby and drown it in bathwater,
Mm,
and you shouldn't pay taxes, right? Norquist is the one that had everybody in Congress sign, the Republicans sign a promise that they wouldn't raise taxes because your tax dollars are going to frivolous, terrible things. And don't let the government take your liberty, freedom, and your taxes. So from the 80s to, 2020, the government is the enemy. And then you have NAFTA, right, with Clinton in '94,
right.
which does ship a lot of jobs overseas
Yes.
to Indonesia, to China,
Yes.
and it does F up a lot of white working class folks.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Black folks.
And black
Just
folk.
poor people in general. And here's the thing. That should not be something that is controversial. It's the truth,
Yeah.
right? And so here's where we have this whole thing with politics in general, right? Because, you know, the Democrats will tell you, hey, that's a good thing. And it's like, probably not, you
Right.
know, it's
Right.
probably not a good thing. It's great that other countries are, coming up in the world. I think that um I think in the thought process of like doing all of those deals where they ship jobs out of America, I think that they were very short-sighted in the way that they looked at it.
Right.
Yes, it's great to globalize and you know uh be in a space where we are helping other countries, but you kind of, you oh,
Well,
I sound, hold on. I sound like a Donald Trump supporter. It's like America first. Wait a minute, hold
no,
on.
but it's appealing, and you see
Yes,
the appeal to it when, if you dig deeper, it's more complex because
yes,
we are moving toward a global economy, whether we like it or not.
absolutely.
Right? We have an interconnected internet. We have an interconnected financial sector. The problem is it was probably too much too fast,
Yes,
because you have, in the 1970s they called them what, the blue collar aristocrats, because you had so many white folks who had good union paying jobs in factories.
yeah,
The problem is American workers cannot compete financially
no,
with Indonesian workers, because there's always going to be a country that's more developing that you can get folks to work for not $15, but maybe they'll work for $1 an hour, right?
yeah,
Because $1 an hour in Indonesia goes a lot further than Indiana.
yes,
So it's this kind of like, they call it neoliberal or neo-corporate. You're just chasing the buck to where these big corporations can pay the least for their workers.
yes,
Right. So
yes,
then you have all these, so shipped over to China and then Vietnam and then Indonesia, Bangladesh. And then you have all these white folks here that are like, WTF, what am I going to do for work?
yeah,
I can buy a shirt for
right,
$10, which is awesome because they
yeah,
made it in Bangladesh, but I can't really, not only can I not like provide for my family the way I want to, I feel like my dignity has been robbed.
yeah,
And, you know, the saying is, as a white person, I expected more in a white country.
right.
So then you have this whole thing of collective grievances. Reza Aslan is a professor at UC Riverside and he wrote Zealot, about kind of like a biography of Jesus. Reza Aslan talks about radical Islam.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, what do you have, what does a Muslim dude in Palestine have in common with a Muslim dude in Indonesia, has in common with a Muslim woman in Sudan? Not much, but collective grievances because Western colonial powers have messed with their countries.
Yes,
Okay? Take that example of radical Islam and put it in an American context. How do you get collective white folks to have collective grievances towards their government? Even though, as we know the history, it's been a white supremacy country for a long
right.
time, and works mostly solely for white folks with kind of like some crumbs for folks of color over the ages. With this collective grievance, Trump shifts it and shapes it in a new way where it's not just the Democrats who are the devils.
Right.
Because Donald Trump was a Democrat until like 2009.
Right.
Right. Right.
Right.
And
We
he
all
was
know this.
right. He was
No.
pro-choice.
We all know this. Yeah.
Shapeshifter guy.
Yeah.
The Republicans are now the devils, and the Democrats are the devils. All the government is terrible, wrong, bad. But I, Donald Trump, I alone
I
can
can fix it.
I can fix it.
I can fix it. I can fix it all.
Right. But it's kind of signaling to white folks, because what is he fixing? He calls it the American carnage. And the American carnage, I guess, is the jobs being shipped overseas and middle America hurting. He didn't necessarily say how he was going to fix it.
Ever.
ever.
Ever. Can we take
Just
a break? Can we take a break and just say that again? Ever. Never ever had a plan. Like that was like his healthcare plan. It's never there. Ever, people. Never. Okay, go ahead.
it's true. His first like year was just spent on trying to kill healthcare. But
Right.
now we have a global health crisis in the world. So this is a culmination of collective white grievances.
Yes.
And there's something called deaths of despair. And deaths of despair is a phenomenon with white men over the age of 65 where they're killing themselves at record rates.
Mm-hmm.
So if you compare a white man in America to a white man in Germany, people over 65 are not killing themselves because there's a welfare state where they have health care.
Right.
And they have jobs and dignity and all this stuff. But in America, because of what's happened, certain white folks see that their parents have done financially better than them.
Mm-hmm.
They thought they were going to eclipse their parents.
Yeah.
But they didn't.
Right.
Doesn't matter that the black or brown person in their city still makes $10,000 less than them.
Yes.
The racial hierarchy from 1676 with Bacon's Rebellion still exists.
Still exists.
Right? Where it's like, yeah, I know the black and brown dude makes $10,000 less, but I'm white.
Right.
I deserve all these goodies because this is my country. At the end of the day, like, y'all, okay, Michelle Obama said black people built the White House, but like, this is our country. Like,
yeah,
we made this, we conquered all these native folks, we, genocided people, like we enslaved all these black folks. It's our country.
Yeah, you saw that in the attitude of, the people that stormed the Capitol, right? Like, they didn't hide their faces, right? No. They did not hide their faces. They recorded themselves. That's right. They took pictures. They, put it on social media, and it was like, my country, like America. And it was just like, okay, nobody was worried about losing their job, like nothing, not going to jail. And then you literally saw people, it was people, calling into MSNBC, CNN, whatever, calling into these and saying, I didn't do nothing wrong. I was just there to, I was just there to take my country back. And it was like, right. Really? That's the attitude. You know what I mean? It's like, this is their country. They could do whatever they want to do.
And some people's defense now is, I didn't know I was not allowed to be in the Capitol.
Right.
Of my own country.
Right.
So, yes, it's a lot of complicated stuff, but I think we should transition into like, so where are we right now? Like, what happened? And you and I were talking about, these were not poor white people.
Right.
These were lawyers and real estate folks.
There was literally one person who took a private plane.
Yeesh.
She literally took a private plane. I believe she's from Texas. Damn. So she took a private plane from Texas to Washington, D.C. That is not someone who is worried about putting food on the table. I guarantee you that, okay? Because I've never been in a private jet. My whole life, I've never been in that space. And it's just like, you know what I mean? I think that's a fallacy. Even though there are a lot of poor people, and you can tell, like that they are there, but they're not the brains of anything, right? They are part of the crowd. Donald Trump plays on poor white people's emotions, right? Again, going back to the conversation that we had with the slave versus the indentured slave, right? So again, you're a white person in this country. This is your country. You know what I mean? Like if there's a black or a brown person in a job that you want, you know,
Right.
it's because they're a
Right.
Black and a brown person, not because they know the job better than you, not because they have, you know, more education than you, or whatever it is.
Right.
They are automatically in that space because, you know, affirmative action, like,
Yeah.
you know, and so that's a whole lot of built up anger
Right.
in these people because and he played on that. He played on that, you know. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, you know, that's exactly right. And I'm going to my capital because this is my country, and I'm gonna do what I want to do. We're gonna go get Nancy Pelosi. You know,
But the complicated thing is you have people saying we're going to kill Mike Pence.
yeah.
And so you have well, several things. You have the great what do they call him? Not dissenter, disruptor, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trump is the great disruptor. And
Absolutely.
in a way that's true, right?
Mm-hmm.
He is disrupting the kind of the status quo that, you know, they make fun of Bill Clinton as the greatest Republican president ever because, okay, he was a Democrat. But, you know, this kind of, well, what's the difference between a Democrat and Republican, especially in the 90s when it's like, we all agree we don't like Black people, so let's pass the 90
Right.
Crime Act, let's
Right.
pass the 96 Welfare Act, because we know, like, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, like, who's really on welfare if you look at the media, right? It's Black
Yes.
and brown
Yes.
women.
Right.
But if you look at the data,
Yeah.
it's white people.
Yeah.
There's 200
And
million.
it's white families. If I
Yes,
could, so yeah, like I don't even think we can't even go down that rabbit
that's for
hole
another
because
show. We do a show on welfare because it's because again, Reagan did the whole thing where it's like the welfare queen, and he
yeah,
found that woman, and she was like Native American and like I don't know. She was. It sounds like she did like not do some savory things, but like they made her the face of every Black person in America.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's usual.
Right, that's
That's usual.
but this gets us into the role of media, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to talk about this and kind of like the lies. So in terms of welfare, we won't stay on it too long, but it dovetails well with this. Since the passage of the Civil Rights Act in 1965, you have a concerted effort by media to show Black and brown folks as foreign,
Mm-hmm.
poor, sucking from the system, and criminals.
Dangerous. Yes.
Very dangerous, very dangerous, and almost un-American, right? They're
Yeah.
not.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, right. And
Absolutely.
right. So since 65 till now, you still these myths still stick with us. So Steve Bannon, Donald Trump, and Roger Stone are, in my opinion, not very moral people, but they're smart.
Yeah.
Steve Bannon says you can't change society until you break it. Steve Bannon studied Leni Riefenstahl and Nazi propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
And he saw that if you tell a lie enough, people start believing it,
People believe it.
right?
That is true.
That's the Nazi playbook from, what's his name? Eichmann. Eichmann said, if you tell a lie enough, people start believing it. So Steve Bannon started, you know, you make Donald Trump this kind of like Superman, Jesus, Captain America figure, and then you tell this lie that, but some of it's seated in truth, right?
Yeah.
The Democrats took your job.
Right.
So okay,
Yeah.
1994.
Right.
Sure. The Democrats, AOC, Bernie, they're all communists that want to change the fundamental nature, whiteness, and constitution of this country.
Mm-hmm.
You have to fight with us because you are on our side. You are on our team. And going back to that pyramid, like you're with us.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to take back our country.
Yep.
Because there's this guy, Barack Hussein Obama, who is not really un-American.
Yeah.
He is foreign and he never should have been president. And he was a big socialist who wanted to give 20 million people health care.
Right. And so I'm glad that we got here because, a lot of, having the conversation, we talked about this earlier, where it's like, a lot of white people, they look at this whole 4 years of Donald Trump and they're like, we just want to go back before Donald Trump was president. And like Black people are like, yeah, nah, we good. We don't want to do that. It wasn't the same experience for us than it was for you. Right. This is not getting any better, but it's not getting okay. Donald Trump just kind of turned on the light, right? Yeah. He was just like, you guys come out of your hiding places and let's have a party. Because they've all been there, right? Like you don't just wake up and with a guy who is president for 4 years and become a racist.
Right.
You that's you. That's who you've been, that's who you are. And right. So, he has just provided license for people to just be who they are.
Yeah.
And so people have taken him up on that. Like, yeah, absolutely. Let's do this. You know what I mean? The president is saying these things. So, we can say these things too. Like, right. Think about that the first couple of years, attacks against, gay people, Black people, right. Jewish people, like they, rose, like, and it's because of that attitude where he was just like, yeah, who cares? Like, he's the perceived strong man, who whines about everything. But like, which most, perceived strong men are babies. And so, like, is what it is. And so, it's that whole thing. It's yes, these 4 years have been hard. Yes, these 4 years have, Donald Trump has done things that are horrible. But when we talk about race and we talk about prejudice, Donald Trump did not create this. He is not the grand poobah of this. This has been around. It didn't go anywhere. Right. It just it maybe lessened a little bit. It was better hidden. Right. They found ways around, just overtly, saying nigger. They just found another way to do things. And I know that is harsh and it's crass, but that's facts. You know what I mean?
Right.
Having the conversation about the white woman who was killed in the Capitol, where they black her out. They don't want America to see her dying, okay? But George Floyd's on TV all stinking day, every channel for weeks at a time. And nobody thought about his children. Nobody thought about his mother, his siblings, Nobody was like, okay, maybe Black people don't need to see this because this is traumatic. Nobody thought about that.
Well, because Black lives have not mattered.
Well, we know that.
For so long, and you're hitting upon there's two Americas, right? There's white America and there's Black America, and there's probably brown America, right? Latinx America, which we don't really talk about a lot, and it's not in the national spotlight, but it will be because there's 60 million Latinx folks, and it's going to be happening. So, but you hit upon a lot of good stuff there, and Black death spectacle is commonplace.
Oh yeah, we know that.
And some people almost talk about it as like, you talk about poverty pornography. It's like death porn, right? We are so socialized. Say, oh yeah, this is where the Black guy is going to get killed by the white cop.
Yeah.
And it's sick. And you're saying like we should be able to see Ashley Babbitt. It's not bloody. We should be able to see her get killed. Because why are we censoring white death and not Black death? So even in death, right? There's a hierarchy.
Yes.
Again, of like whose death is palatable and whose death is not.
And so I submit that we shouldn't see any of it.
Yeah.
Right. And so again, like how we had that conversation. It's like, listen, during the storming of the Capitol, I'm like, why are they not shooting these people? Because that is a normal thing, right? When Black people are perceived to be, aggressive, police shoot them, right? they shoot them. They don't, they don't run. They don't, they shoot them. They shoot them. That is fact. And so, like, I literally was like, what is going on here? Like, where are the guns? Where are the guns? Why are they not shooting these people? But again, it's not that I want people to die. I literally just want it to be equal. I don't want people to be able to shoot Black people in the back, while holding their T-shirt, and that be okay. Like, I don't want that,
Well, the irony here is that a lot of the stuff that we're seeing were Black police officers that are running with they have like this little baton, and they're running from this like horde of like angry white people. And you and I have been talking over these weeks of like, why didn't the police have a gun? Or like, why wasn't there more police presence? And did Trump's rearrangement of the Pentagon and rearrangement of police forces, was Donald Trump the defunder of police in chief? Like why wasn't there more of a presence? And this
not defund the police.
Don't defund the police.
No.